A team that has been linked to Ben Simmons are the Houston Rockets, and Houston Rockets fans are not too fond of this. They're mixed. I've seen Rockets fans absolutely hate it, and they don't want Ben Simmons at all, and some think it's actually pretty good. John Wall and the Rockets are working on a trade, so John Wall will probably most likely be involved in the package if this were to happen. And should the Houston Rockets do this move, if it does become available to them, should they trade for Ben Simmons? And if you were the Rockets, you're Raphael Stone right now, would you trade for Ben Simmons?
I was thinking about this move a lot, honestly. I was thinking about it all last night. I was up to like 5 in the morning. I was actually playing 2K, and I actually did the move in 2K. I would do it depending on what I have to give up. I feel like a KPG, Jalen Green, Ben Simmons lineup. What?
KPJ.
Oh, sorry. KPJ, Jalen Green lineup would be crazy with Ben Simmons, But it's just like we just drafted 2 bigs, right? We have Christian Wood. We have Jason Tate. We have Daniel Tice.
Jason Tate.
Jason, sorry. I'm messing up on the names. We have Jason Tate. What do I have to give up for Ben Simmons? Probably Christian Wood, right? Christian Wood will probably have to go in that deal. I don't know.
I don't think so. You think?
Who would go?
I think it's really just John Wall, bro. I think it's John Wall picks in maybe like Kenyon Martin Jr. Some guy.
If that was the deal, John Wall, Kenyon Martin Jr.
Maybe Eric Gordon.
Picks, that's too much money.
That is a lot of money.
That's like $60 million. If I can just do that to John Wall, Kenyon Martin, and a bunch of picks, I would do it. You put Christian Wood, Ben Simmons, Jalen Green, KPJ on the floor, have a bunch of shooters around Ben Simmons, play a 1 in 4 out. That'd be dope. I like that. You bring in some defense. Ben Simmons is still young. He's actually younger than Christian Wood. So I would do that deal. But if you have to do more, if you have to give up your young guys, any of the young guys, I wouldn't do it.
When we look at the Rockets, it's really, I think KPJ, Jalen Green, and Christian Wood, to me, are the untouchables. Yep. They're the untouchables. So looking at their roster, so Daniel House could go, Eric Gordon, Usman Garuba, even him. Would you trade Josh Christopher?
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh Christopher could
yeah.
Josh Christopher could go.
Would you trade Sengun? I'm asking you that.
I don't think you'd have to because they have Embiid and Drummond now, so you wouldn't have to.
Yeah.
So they have some guys they could probably trade, even though I do think it'd probably be John Wall. And you're right. I mean, thinking about a lineup where they have KPJ, Jalen Green, Jason Tate, Simmons, and Christian Wood, and even if you don't have Tate, like let's say House or Eric Gordon are in the starting lineup,
perfect.
That is a really good team, and that sounds like a team that could be in the playoffs in the West. I think Christian Wood averaging 20.
Playoffs is a stretch.
I don't think so. I think Christian Wood averaging 22 and 10. KPJ averaging.
But do you know what the
19
playoffs is now? It's like you got to get to the 6th seed, bro.
Look, let's just think about it.
All right, got it.
Christian Wood 22 and 10. Ben Simmons, I think, in a 5-out system where he's a ball handler, if that is Houston, he could give you like 18, 8, and 8. KPJ giving you like 17 and 19. Jalen Green as a rookie, 15 to 16 is solid for him. I think it could be a play-in playoff team. Obviously I think their seeding wouldn't be like 5th or higher. It'd probably be like 6 to 8, right? Even probably 7 to 8 range. But I do think that's a playoff team. I mean, you look at Houston right now, KPJ, Jalen Green, and Wood, they're really good offensive players, but in terms of defense, they're not great defensively. And Simmons gives them an additional playmaker on top of elite defense, which they lack right now. And like I mentioned before, just a year ago, we were talking about getting Ben Simmons for James Harden. James Harden, who's the second best Houston Rocket of all time. And now you're telling me you can get him for John Wall? And John Wall is not going to play the entire season regardless. And you can still get Ben Simmons. And I think some Rockets fans that don't like this move are looking at it in the aspect of Ben Simmons is going to ruin KPJ's development.
And Jalen Green.
And Jalen Green a little bit slightly. It could happen, but
that's what I've been saying.
It could happen, and you're probably not wrong in that aspect. It probably will affect him a little bit, and Ben Simmons is a really good player still. But think about it. This is the lowest Ben Simmons values is going to be ever, probably. Right? So you can get him for a John Wall and a couple picks and maybe just a throw-in young player. What if Ben Simmons balls out for Houston? What if they make the playoffs? Now, if Rafael Stone is looking at it and saying, you know what? I like how Ben Simmons fits with the Rockets. I'm going to keep him. Or he can say, I want to trade Ben Simmons. Now his value after leading the Rockets to a play-in is at an all-time high. And now you can trade him for multiple picks and a player on top of that. Now you can flip Ben Simmons. And this is easy. This is easy flip-ems, man. This is like a game of drug dealing right here at this point. It's just an easy flip. You can flip Ben Simmons. I mean, it's really an easy flip if you think about it, if you think Ben Simmons can be good with the Rockets. And I think the only fear with this move is that the Rockets risk what they're trying to build with their young core. That's the only risk. But realistically, the Rockets have went, since James Harden has got into the Rockets, they have went from the playoffs every single year to the one sole year when they didn't have Harden, getting Jalen Green, and now a year later going back to the playoffs with Ben, or even fighting for a spot. So realistically, like, it's not like the Rockets have been rebuilding this young core forever, and it's kind of been like a 2-3 year process, and you risk it by having Ben come in. I mean, this thing is just getting started. And we've seen in the past before that young players, even though you fear that Ben Simmons takes away their touches or whatever like that, young players benefit from winning first and foremost. Yep. Look at Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown with Boston, his first 2 seasons was not a big factor on those teams, but they made the playoffs and he got better and got that experience. Young players benefit a lot from winning. What the Rockets don't want to be is a Sacramento where you have this insane group of young talent, but you never make the playoffs. You know, they can probably make a push with Ben, and that would be dope because that 5-man lineup that I named is exceptional. And another point is that Kevin Porter Jr. is an insane talent. There's no doubting that. And the fear that Ben Simmons is going to stunt his development is warranted. I get it. But KPJ, before getting to Houston, was a guy you couldn't rely on. Mm-hmm. Was a guy that's issues with mental health and outside of basketball did hinder his production on the court and even sometimes didn't show up. I mean, KPJ for 20 games, about 20 games, was good with the Rockets, but has he shown to this point that you can rely on him for 82 or 72 plus? KPJ has not shown that yet. Like, we know he's talented, but he's not shown that yet. Like Ben Simmons, regardless of what you want to say about him, like right now, it shows that you can't rely on him because he doesn't want to show up to training camp. But for the majority of his career, he has been a guy you could rely on. So if you're worried about KPJ's development versus because of Ben Simmons, I think it's a little bit short-sighted because KPJ has not proved anything past 20 games that he can be reliable long-term.
I don't even think Ben Simmons is stunt their growth because it's like, what has he shown you in Philly that he stunts anybody's growth other than his own?
I mean, let's name it. You know, Matisse Thybulle's coming to his own.
Yep.
Landry Shamet, when he was with Philly, was playing awesome. The best basketball, I think.
Tyrese Maxey came into his own.
Tyrese Maxey came into his own as well. We could just name a couple players. I mean, we can name
Seth
a couple
Curry
more.
had a career year with Philly.
Exactly. Joel
Embiid had his best year alongside Ben Simmons. Tobias Harris is finally consistent.
And Jalen Green, when you watch him in the G League, he wasn't hogging the ball.
He doesn't.
He was coming off of a lot of curls and screens.
And Ben will pass you the ball.
And Ben can be that player that can work with Jalen Green coming off those screens. So that could be a good fit.
I don't get
it's really about the KPJ fit. You know, that's really what it is.
But Ben is okay not being the initial ball handler.
Yeah.
That's what like I get that he stunts his own growth, but when Rockets fans talk about he'll stunt anybody else's, I don't even see that. I think he's from where he plays in Philly, he's only aided in helping other guys get better. And that's shown. Nobody's growth has been stunted with Ben Simmons. So that's a weird thing to say. I think he'll only help them. I mean, he walks in and instantly helps your defense by far because of the fact that how great he is defensively, and then KPJ can still run the one. Ben Simmons on offense a lot of the times played the 4 and was the screener. So in Philly, so it's I don't understand what they're saying. Like a lot of times he was the pick and roller. He was the guy who will hit you on the pin down. He could do that for Jalen Green. He'll set the screen. So and he'll probably play big man for Houston anyways on offense. So I think that'd be a good move. It's really honestly, if you can just get him for John Wall and a bunch of picks, I'd do it in a heartbeat because you're giving up nothing for him realistically.
Let's just think of this right here, right? Because without Ben, if the Rockets don't get a Ben Simmons and they run this upcoming season with this lineup that they have right now, realistically, they're probably a bottom team in the West. With Ben Simmons, they are not. No. They are a lock to be a playing team. Like there's no doubt about it. They're a lock to be a playing team. So if you're a Rockets fan, it's really about thinking of it from this perspective. Do you want to play the long game and bank on KPJ and bank on Jalen Green and bank on Christian Wood? Or do you want to just have success now? Yep. Because you can have that success now with Ben and these guys can still get better. Jalen Green, he's a rookie. He's 19. Jalen Green is not going to be Jalen Green until like his 3rd, 4th year in the league. You know, he's going to be a great scorer. He's going to be like a 16-point per game scorer, probably his rookie year. Maybe he can reach 20. Even that is like, that's going to be hard. Maybe he can do it, but he won't be like that top 10 scorer in the league until like 4 or 5 years from now, right? KPJ, we'll see if he can build off his previous season. I think he can. But realistically, where's the ceiling? You know, if you're a Rockets fan, you're going to start seeing success with this group 3-4 years from now, probably 3. I'll say 3, right? With Ben, you can see it immediately. You can see it to the point where this year you guys are a playing team. Next year you can be a really high playoff team, or you can make the playoffs and have a lock in the playoffs with KPJ having another year to develop, Wood having more chemistry, and Jalen Green being in his 2nd season. And like I mentioned before, Ben Simmons, this is the lowest. You can get Ben Simmons for pennies right now.
Yep.
This is an easy flip. This is paid in full.
Yeah.
I mean, you can you trade for Ben Simmons, you can flip him next year. You can get a star player, like a legitimate star for him. So, I mean, it's all about what they want to do. I think I can see it from both perspectives. So I can see it from both sides, but I'll pick a side right now, and I'll say that I think the Rockets should go after Ben Simmons.
Me too.
I think my gut feeling is telling me they should do it.
It's the one.
It would be a good move for them.
If it's just John Wall and one more young player like a Josh Christopher or Kenyon Martin Jr. or even just Jayshawn Tate.
I mean, yeah, I would throw Jayshawn Tate in there in a heartbeat.
Bye. Like, no offense, you're good, but bye. Like, throw some picks in there. Cool, we can have this.
Because then Eric Gordon could start there. And, I mean, that's a legit playoff team. I mean, like, that's a threat every night against teams.
It's a tough team,
but
man.
KPJ, Jalen Green, Eric Gordon, Ben Simmons, Wood. I mean, you have, with Ben Simmons, Gordon, Porter, and Green, you have 4 guys who can get a bucket at any time. Well, not, I guess, Ben, you don't put him in that category.
No.
But you have 4 playmakers. You have 4 initiators, which is huge for an offense. It's huge for shot creation.
They're clowns, man. What are you holding down John Wall for, bro? It really just depends on Philly, man. If Philly's willing to accept John Wall and a young guy, you know. But at this rate, I feel like at this point you still kind of get the perimeter defense with John Wall, and you still get a slightly less better playmaker.
You get somebody who could play with Embiid well.
Mm-hmm. He just can't shoot, but he'll take the shot. So that's one thing you wanted. So it's just the only thing with John Wall is his injury history is just like Joel Embiid's. He gets hurt a lot, so that's the risk.
And that could blow up in Philly's face.